What's up, Motor Brewskis, and what's up in this video is a review of the KTM 500 EXC-F 2023 versus the 2023 KTM 890 Adventure R. Which is the best bike for off-road? With me is Robbie Bobby.
Howdy.
Robbie Bobby, how long have you had your bike for?
This is just my second season.
Yeah.
On this bike.
All right. And how are you finding it?
I love it. I come from pretty much a dual sport background for the most part. I've had a bunch of smaller bikes, 300s, 400s, things like that. Always kind of street legal, short adventure type rides. And once I started riding with the bigger guys or the bigger bikes, I was getting just kind of dusted on the highway or on the open straightaways. And that's what kind of led me to getting a bigger bike. And so far so good.
You had the 390 Adventure, didn't you?
Yeah, that was the next step after the smaller kind of dual sports. I gave a shot to the 390 when it came out, and I took one ride down to Mexico and I sold it immediately after that. It was a cool bike, but it wasn't like that intermediary step of a bike that I thought it was going to be, that was going to allow me to hit higher speeds and be comfortable on the road. Just didn't have the power for it. Plus, dudes kept asking me how it was. They wanted to buy one for their wife. And I was like, yeah, maybe this isn't the bike for me.
My wife wants one.
So let's quickly talk about off-road experience. You and I have done quite a few rides together. We've done the Wyoming BDR, Colorado BDR, and so on. Wyoming sucked. It just rained solid for 3 days. It was super slippery, super muddy. I personally really felt grateful to be on the 500 rather than the 890. I actually had the 890 same year, same model, the S version, and I just dropped that too many times at altitude, and I was like, you know what, this sucks.
Yeah.
So I actually sold that and got the 500. The 500. And I don't regret that at all. And actually, in this video, we're going to be swapping bikes. Robbie's going to ride my bike, and then I'm going to take the 890 again. So I must say I'm a bit nervous to get back on the beast. Yeah. So how do you find the 890 in terms of agility? It's obviously 450 odd pounds. It's quite a heavy bike. It's got a lot of power. So talk us through, how do you find, from an agility perspective, the 890s?
Well, very good for an enduro aficionado like myself. It's nothing.
Yeah.
But actually, it's pretty nimble for all the reasons you hear about the 890. The low center of gravity with the gas, with the fuel tank, makes a really big difference. Being able to turn in and out of tight spaces is really doable for this bike. I think the only times that I've actually put it down so far, and granted, I'm not doing anything super extreme with this bike, but the only times that I've really put it down is when I'm coming to a stop on an uneven surface and the weight is just too much to handle on some kind of an incline, and I drop it in that case. But generally, I find it really easy to maneuver for kind of 2-track and some, like medium level difficulty, single track even. No problems.
Yeah, and we've ridden quite a few of them around here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so obviously from my perspective, the 500 is very, very agile. I don't fear dropping the 500 as much as I did the 890.
Yeah.
Just simply because the consequences feel a lot worse on the bigger bike than on a 500. And ultimately, this is a race bike for off-road, so not that I'm racing the Baja 1000 or anything. But given my riding experience and my skill level, I just feel so much more comfortable on the 500. So I'll hit anything, like single track, dual track, gravel roads, inclines, declines, and I'm not worried about it. Whereas if I was on the 890, there's no way.
Yeah.
Even dual track, to turn the bike, from an agility perspective, and again, it comes down to skill sets. I just found that to be too much of a sort of a fear-driven thing. It's like, oh shit, have I got enough momentum
Yep.
on this incline? And then the bike just quite easily like topples over. It's quite, and obviously I'm not as big as you are in terms of like size and that. But so again, for rider preference, I just feel like from an agility perspective, the 500 can literally do anything. It's like it's a one bike machine.
Yeah.
You have to have Garth level skill set to ride single track and that kind of stuff and do it comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. I think anything that you find somewhat easy off road with an 890R is only going to be that much easier on a 500 because of the reasons you just mentioned, especially the weight and even if it's kind of a mental thing, just knowing that, hey, if I drop this thing or if you're riding alone, it's not going to be a big deal to pick it up and continue on with your ride. Whereas if you've got this big girl and she's loaded up, it's you're probably going to shy away from some of those things, especially if you're not quite at that skill level. Which I started with the S model too. We had the same bike for a while, and the only reason I had bought that S because it just felt like a little less intimidating for the seat height. I can't remember what the difference is, but sitting on the bike with this much weight at a lower seat height on the S felt a lot more manageable and more comfortable. And then again, I just think riding that for a season or two gave me the confidence to then jump up to this one, because what I've realized coming from the S model was you're not doing yourself any favors with that suspension off road. So once you jump up to this, fully adjustable suspension, it just makes all the difference when you're going over rough terrain as far as just how much easier it is to ride.
Yeah. So do you find that there's a big difference between the R and the S?
Huge.
Really?
Yeah. Mainly just the suspension. So when we're riding some of these trails that are just nothing but rock and you're getting thrown around and it's bumpy and the S just it was more difficult.
Yeah,
It was
like
more
Hageman Pass on a S.
like Hagerman Pass. It's definitely doable. I mean, the bike is made for that, but it's still not going to take the shock like this suspension does. So, and I was also bottoming out a lot too on the S. Yeah. Suspension travel is less. So even on some of these kind of rolling little jumps here, I was always bottoming out on the S. I think I've bottomed out maybe once or twice on this bike, but you could take this bike to the track. We've seen people do it.
Yeah. So what about power? So obviously this is a single cylinder. That's a dual cylinder. Let's firstly start with power delivery off-road. How do you find the 890?
Yeah, more power than I'll ever use off-road for sure. I think there's you kind of have to watch it a little bit, especially on some of these flowy gravel roads. You can easily lose traction and slip out. The electronics definitely help with that, but power, I mean, there's plenty of power off-road. You're not going to run out of power. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. With the 500, I find power delivery off-road to be like ridiculous. Like I put the Getz ECU into this bike. The bike's a complete, build. There's nothing more you can really do with it. I've also got a 47-inch or 47 tooth sprockets. The stock one's 45, so it's got more torque. Obviously, with the Getz ECU, you can adjust the torque, which I never actually do. I just keep it on max. But it does kind of bring the 890 electronics idea or concept into the 500, doesn't it? Because with the 890, with the electronics, you can obviously adjust the slip. You got rally mode, off-road, etc. This bike's in rally mode all the time. There's just, a bit of a slippage that you can account for through the Getz ECU. But on gravel roads, I've actually found the 500 keeps up with 890s, pretty easily.
Sure.
Unless you're crazy, like God.
Yeah.
And he'll do 126 miles an hour off road. Madman. Yeah, so that's not me. I'll do 100, but not 126. So talk to us about the electronics. How do you find the brain of the bike and how it adjusts the behavior of the bike off road?
Yeah, I think it's spot on. you know, the rally mode and the adjustments of the slip is a really handy tool, especially if you're just getting used to the power off-road, especially. You know, I pretty much was only riding this bike in slip level like 7 and 8 when you know, for the first few months, which allows some slip but very little. So you just kind of feel like you're in a little bit more control. And, you know, if your throttle hand slips a little bit, it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna send you flying. It's going to compensate a little bit. So I think it's really handy. And, you know, as your confidence grows and you get more comfortable with the power off road, then you can lower the slip and number, which raises the amount of spin off road. But I think it's really handy, and I couldn't see actually not having that feature on a bike like this.
Yeah, it's too much power, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, fun question: which seat height do you think is higher, yours or mine?
I would say probably yours.
Definitely mine.
Do you know offhand?
I can visually see offhand. Yeah. I'd much more fancy my chances getting onto that bike than getting onto the 500, because the 500 just, you know, gives me a nosebleed every time I get on the thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like doing karate and all sorts of shit. All right, so you excited to ride the 500?
I am.
I'm not excited to ride it. Okay, guys, so we'll take the bikes for a spin, and then we'll do a quick recap of what our riding experiences were.
Yo.
Ready to rock and roll, dude?
Ready.
Let's see you mount this bad boy. God, it helps to be 6 foot.
Yeah. Feels good.
Yeah?
Feels like a dirt bike. Feels great. Feels like you can go anywhere.
Yeah, man. Well, you can. All right, off you go, dude. It's on.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Shifter is placed a little differently, so is the brake. Check out this little trail here. First thoughts on this bike is definitely the weight. Super light. The throttle actually feels like a little more punchy than the 890 does. What's cool about the lightweight is you can really slow down quickly. With the 890, I mean, the brakes have plenty of stopping power, but with the extra weight, it doesn't quite come to a stop as quickly as this one does. Yeah, this is fun. Yeah, this throttle feels a lot more sensitive for some reason. like my little motocross bike. You know, you barely turn the throttle and it just wants to jump. I definitely like these knobby tires that he's got on here too. Definitely more vibration. I wasn't really considering vibration off-road. You know, I thought that would be more of a consideration on the highway, which it is, but also here on lower speeds, definitely feel more vibration in the handlebars. But nothing out of the ordinary. It's like a dirt bike. It almost feels weird to have this much power on a bike that's so light, but it's so fun. Yeah, I could ride this all day. Daddy. Turn around and get Matt his bike back. Yeah, on the 890, I'm not as comfortable sliding the wheels and turns. I mean, I think that's just a skill level thing. There's definitely guys who do that all day long. But on this bike, I mean, it's no problem.
Take her home. And what do you find it? How do you find it?
That was awesome. Yeah, I think the biggest surprise is how punchy the throttle is.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it was going to be powerful, but it seems more sensitive than the 890 on the throttle.
Okay.
You know, like you really don't have to give it much for it to throw you forward.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the motocross, you know, bikes feel like too, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it feels weird to have this much power on such a lightweight bike.
Yeah.
But it's fun. The thing that I really like about it compared to my bike is how you can slow down so much faster because of the lightweight. So you can go into a turn on gravel knowing that you're going to slide and you'll stop shortly after that.
Yeah.
Whereas on that bike, I'll go in, you know, punch the rear brake and the front brake, and I'm a little nervous, you know, if it's a tight turn that I'm just going to overshoot it or keep going because there's so much weight to stop.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Alrighty. I say mounting is easier on this thing. See, I'm already struggling with the weight. Oh, fuck. And the kickstand.
Let it rip, Maddie.
Sounds great. Oh yeah, I see what you mean about the throttle. Yours is so much smoother. Alrighty. Weird to be back on the 890 again. Oh wow. It's so smooth. And you can find neutral quite easily on the 890. 500 you can't. Woohoo! Can absolutely appreciate the dual cylinder almost feel like the 890 is more easy to steer. I don't know why that is. It just feels more balanced. Yeah, definitely feels more balanced. I have to do less to turn the bike than I do on the 500, which is goes against conventional wisdom. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. But I feel like I could get more confidence on this bike. If I just had more time on it. Yep. I can see the appeal. I can definitely see the appeal. Even though it's a bigger bike, it's literally like a big dirt bike. It has got the feel of a bike, but you can do anything. Oh, and I'm actually quite surprised how this feels compared to the S that I had and that I sold. I dropped it too much. Woohoo! Yeah, no, this thing stops on the dime. I definitely want some rises on these handlebars though. They're a bit too low for me, and with the 500 I got the Scott damper that acts like a handlebar raise as it is. Suspension's awesome. Yeah, that's what I mean by turning. Heavier bike. Well, I might have to get an 890 now. Yeah. I mean, I 100% agree with you about the power delivery. This is so smooth.
Yeah, I think part of that is just the nature of the twin cylinder, and the other part is you can adjust the sensitivity of the throttle. It's an electronic setting. I'm not sure where I have it set, but that is something you can adjust. And I've just kind of played around with it when I first got it and haven't touched it since, but it's comfortable.
Yeah, I might get the 890, dude.
No way.
I might get it, dude. I'm serious about it. It just feels so well balanced. The power delivery is awesome, and yes, it's a heavy bike and that sucks.
Yeah.
But in terms of like what you could do with that versus this, the only thing I would freak out about is the tight stuff, and then trying to turn the bike on gravel in a tight turn or whatever. But like, you could just do skills training and that would get you comfortable, you know?
Definitely.
But I can see the argument for both.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to the style of riding that you intend to do and skill level.
Yeah. Yep. But this is really, compared to the S, this is so much better.
Yeah, agreed.
The R.
Definitely.
It's so much better.
No doubt about it.
And it sounds awesome. With the decats on it. It's sick. Yeah.
Nice, dude.
Well, there you go, Motor Brewskis. Let us know in the comments. What would you go with, the 890R or the 500 EXCF? This is Matt and Robbie signing out. We'll see you again soon.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and most importantly, share it with your favorite Moto Brewski.